Hi folks, Noah Hallett here, and I've been doing a lot of consulting with some kind of small independent businesses and even some larger ones, and I wanted to go ahead and take a minute to introduce one of the, let's just call it like it is, one of the stranger tools that I recommend using. Now, this is Discord. Discord is a communications app. It's a free tool that a lot of gamers have used for a really long time to coordinate game groups. And so most of the users you see of Discord are going to be gamers and game groups. But if you're looking to coordinate a community and to coordinate any kind of online community, let's face it, gamers are especially good at that and they've been doing it for a long time. So it's easy to dismiss the tools that they use, but it's really important, especially now, kind of in like this virtual, remote, digital age, to understand the tools that they're using and see the opportunities there for businesses. Um, so again, what you're looking at here is Discord. I'm going to do a really quick guide and kind of talk through some kind of quick tips about it and why I think it's particularly good. So right off the bat on the left bar here, you've got a direct messages part where you can message individual users on Discord, regardless of what channel or channels they're in. You don't have to have any in common, you just need to know their user tag. And then also you have the option to create your own channel. My gamer name is Trogdor, apologies for that. Um, and then this is just a variety of the other channels I'm a part of. And now a lot of these are again game related, but some of these, so I talk a lot about the really incredible community organization that groups like Gold Squadron Podcast have done. That's Gold Squadron, that's them. They are absolutely remarkable. We're going to peek into that server in a minute, but it's going to be a little overwhelming before we've done our introduction. So that's a in-person community that coordinates online because it's a global community and that people use it from all across the world to coordinate in their specific area, in their specific interest. People use it to find each other, to find local stores, to kind of ask for tips and to get games. And now, since COVID, it's really been a go-to resource to actually organize online communities as well. And it did a really remarkable job transitioning between the two. And that was one of the big key moments that made me start talking about it more, was that transition from in-person to online and kind of the crossover back and forth between the two. It's been incredible. So they've taken a physical board game that you play in the real world, and they have taken it online and coordinated massive, very successful online tournaments across the world. Like, I have jumped on that and played with people from all across the world day to day. So like one day I could be playing with players in Ireland, then it could be Australia, then it could be, Singapore. These are all kind of major hubs where a lot of these players are from, and I would never have gotten that opportunity if it weren't for this community and then also the online tools available in it. So that's that one. But then on kind of a smaller level, I've also got a couple really good friends from some states I've lived in that I don't live in anymore, and we use this to coordinate. And also I've got a server specifically for my family. For my family that lives in California and New York, we have a Discord server, which is a way to keep in touch besides email or calling or texting. Couple advantages to that. I'm going to go ahead and look at just this very basic server. So you've got your different individual tabs. So you could set a tag, and then you can set individual channels. So I'm just going to zoom all the way out here. And when you create a server, you get to change a lot of the rules. You change who can make changes to what, how tight it is, whether it's a public server that people can join, or whether they require approval to join in. So you have a lot of control of who's in it and who isn't. But then picture each of these as your department. Say this is sales. Say this then is your onboarding, and then you have an additional one for client success. Each of these could be a subtask, so you've got leads, sales tips, you've got a questions, you've got an escalation channel, you've got a announcements channel. So each of these subs has a lot of different options that really coordinate much better than, again, email or your traditional servers you're used to. At the last company I worked at, a really successful aggressive growth startup, Aptigee, we used Slack a lot, and it was an incredible tool for coordinating the entire team all the time. It allowed us to cross over between teams in specific ways. So you'd have a channel that was specifically for sales to talk to client success, or client success to talk to sales. You had a place for salespeople to say, hey, we got this referral, we don't know who this is, can anyone in CS help out? Or we got this support question that kind of shouldn't have gone this way, who do we refer it to? That was incredible coordination that would have easily gotten lost or taken significantly more time through email or any other kind of traditional tool. This does, off the bat, look somewhat intimidating, and some people won't use it because of that. But I want to be really clear that if you can use email, if you can use a cell phone at all, you can really easily use this. And one of the cool things about it is it has a computer tool, which I'm looking at right now, and then also has a really effective app as well. So you've got the mobile and you've got the desktop version already. It's already built, so you can set up your server, but you don't have to do a lot of the customization involved. And I'm focused on the text channels right now. So you could write a note, you could tag a specific person, you could tag everyone, you could tag every person in just this specific channel, you could tag a specific person. You can, of course, put in attachments or GIFs or emojis, the usual fun stuff that keeps it kind of fun, even though you're doing serious work, which also has a purpose itself in kind of the professional space. But then one of the other cool things about this, and Slack does this too, but for the most part in Slack, I've seen it where it's a specific call, where you'll set up a call with a specific person or a specific small group of people, whereas here, they're individual voice channels, where you click on this, and then anyone else who clicks on this voice channel is then in there in an audio space. So you have kind of a, say for example, you have folks that are doing kind of focused study work, like we did a lot at Apogee. We'd have people go to a specific room to listen to music while they work together in the same space. In a remote team, these allow you to do exactly the same thing. So you could have your, crunch time room, you could have your general tips and advice room, your new employees or introductions room. Like you could have any number of voice channels with a specific purpose. And I really especially like that feature because you do have the option to have text, of course, but then you also have both group or individual calling through the same platform. Hopefully you're not bored yet. I'll try to keep up here. That's really the gist of it. I did also write a Medium article that should be linked in the post where I advertised this that talked about kind of the steps to building a community-focused business or kind of a community-focused organization platform. And it really hinges on the power of Discord as a communal space where people in a specific geographic area, in a specific interest, at a specific business, all the kind of different ways that people could want to be in the same communication space together. This is a really exceptional tool to kind of get them there, and I can't recommend it enough. And so I'm going to keep talking about it, but hopefully not too much. So now we've done our introduction. I'm going to dive briefly into that Gold Squadron podcast channel just to talk about the individual channels. Not going to look at much because it's, it's for a specific interest, so I don't want to distract anyone. But I just wanted to, let's do something. So, and this is kind of showing off a bit, so I'm not going to get into this much. But even this is a place where it's sent for rules questions. It's moderated by judges. People come in here to ask questions and get official responses from the rules about how to use things. And you can see it's active right now. And you can see just some of the channels they put up in here. This is an older server. Let me see if I have. Let's see if I can. I can't see how many members are in it. Let me see if there's a welcome here. But it is significant. That's actually good. So you can set up a welcome that people see. It's a really, really, really big successful channel and really kind of shows off what this is capable of doing. You've got community tabs, you've got on physical in-person event tabs, you've got polls that are run by the moderators, you've got these moderator channels that only a specific group can reach out to, and then can tag everyone if it's really important, or can kind of leave it there if people want to check for it. Then you've got kind of smaller groups. You have audio channels, so in those individual servers you can both add text or audio channels, so it doesn't just have to be your audio channels or your text channels. And then going on here, you can list channel by channel, you can actually individually mute these. So an individual person has a lot of options for what they actually want to be notified about, and you can turn notifications on or off as much as you want there. So you can see my notifications are set as off for this channel. And it's really easy to kind of check this. Let's see. Sorry about that. We'll leave it on the server rules one. That is a downside. You can easily click on stuff and jump to things. That is a feature and a bug. But you can see some of these channels are grayed out where I don't have a personal interest, so I go ahead and don't get notifications from that. And then others are lit up where the channels I want to pay attention to, where if something new comes in, I want to know that there's something in there just to check it. And then you have all these voice channels. And these are set up, so you get people, you reach out to each other, setting up your online tournament, you jump in. These are two people who probably don't know each other playing a tournament match right now because that's been coordinated by the podcast. And these channels, there's so many of them because during COVID, Gold Squadron, and Dion right here is an absolute rock star, they set up an entirely online global tournament, multiples of them actually, and so they needed this number of tables to manage the full-size events when they had a couple hundred players. So yeah, that is your quick introduction. We'll jump back to my basic server to kind of reduce the overwhelming piece. But in the Medium article, that hopefully you'll read, maybe not, one of the things that I covered in detail is I broke down the steps of how to build your community and to have this as kind of a landing space where people can coordinate. My specific example of that was, say for example, you want to support a local infrastructure of producers. And the example I gave was local fishermen or local fishers who are picking up fish, they catch them in the morning, and then having this channel where they could say, like, these channels could be restaurants looking for special of the day, or fishers looking to sell fish, or tips and tricks about weather, what's biting where, what bait you're using. And that's a really, really narrow example, but this could be a whole lot of unconnected people who don't specifically work together, but it's a way you could coordinate them in a very functional, effective way, where someone jumps in, say like, hey, I got, a boat full of lingcod that are particularly good this year. Would anybody want them? Or a restaurant could say, like, we're really hoping to have a salmon special this week. Does anyone have salmon we could buy? Now, all of these groups are used to coordinating with each other either through phone calls or just knowing each other. But that just knowing each other, that local network falls apart quickly if you lose kind of key members of it. Whereas something like this could be a lot more stable, where anyone who's new to the market, maybe a new restaurant who moved in the area or a new fisher who's just getting into it, they could also get in there and find the same resources, and people could find each other much more easily through this. So I've kind of talked about how it can work internally for a company, on par with Slack. I would argue in some ways better. I've enjoyed using both. They're both very powerful tools if you're considering either one. I'm not going to kind of push the finger on either one too much. I use Slack a lot. It was amazing. I also really enjoyed Discord. If you're trying to coordinate a community, Discord is a lot more, by design, somewhat more open. So it's a lot easier to invite new people to it, to build a community and build this as a platform where they can coordinate with each other. So that is, it's kind of a key piece there. I'm going to leave it at that. That's been a relatively long video for me to talk about what's basically a gaming platform. But I hope that I've done a decent job of highlighting some of the really strong features of this tool and where it could be beneficial to businesses in a more traditional sense, especially businesses who want to get more of a virtual presence, want to kind of coordinate a virtual office space with people in different time zones and different places. It's a really tremendous tool, and I hope that more people use it in a more professional sense and that more people take things like this maybe more seriously. Appreciate the time. If you have any questions, drop me a note and let me know what you think.